Hey everybody, it's Matt Tucker and Charlie here from CrunchMoo, and today we're talking about everybody's favorite video game company, Electronic Arts.
Rated worst company in the world twice in a row.
Twice in a row by the biggest morons on Earth.
I wouldn't go that far.
Well,
I don't know. EA is certainly hated, but I can't figure out why they're hated. They're seen as greedy, but that's every company that's ever existed.
pretty much.
I think it's just a general track record of where they've been going, and to me it seems like everyone's just jumping on the train of hating EA. For the most part, they have their issues like all companies do. Activision, for one, releasing the same freaking game every year after year. But EA definitely has its problems. I wouldn't go so far as to rate it the worst company in the world twice in a row, but they have some problems to atone for. And they've been working on it. They've been trying to rebuild their public relations, but how far is that going to go?
It's really not working yet, but I think you're going to have to give it some time. But I wouldn't even rate them the worst video game company, period. There's a lot of companies delivering more subpar products than EA does.
Yeah, definitely not the worst company in the world. I can see where people could possibly rate it the worst video game company, and I also see where people shouldn't rate it as the worst video game company in the world, because Hammer Point Interactive, come on now. The guys behind War Z,
Big Rigs?
come on. Big Rigs, War Z. Well, Big Rigs, it wasn't Hammer Point Interactive.
Oh, but it was the same. It was the same lead developer.
It was the same guy, yeah. But still, that's got to be the worst video game company in the world. War Z, they had to change their name.
That's how bad it was.
I'm assuming
that's pretty bad. Really, I would say that Activision is a lot worse than EA, because Activision, they're really a lot. I really see them as more greedy as EA is. Also, they killed Guitar Hero. How could anyone forgive them for that?
Oh, definitely, but
most people would say now that the music genre is dead and buried.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
That actually might be another video for another time, but we'll touch on it a little bit here. Guitar Hero was such a juggernaut, and then you release, I think it was 6 or 7 games in the span of a year. That is just, that's just ridiculous.
I remember that time. I was like, I just gave up on Guitar Hero.
I know, I saw Guitar Hero 4 come out, and I went to get it. And then I see, all these other Guitar Heroes coming out, to the point that I just stopped playing altogether.
Yeah, there were still good games, especially Guitar Hero 5 was a fantastic game, but,
and then
by the time the last one... Oh, yeah, well, the Rock Band's far surpassed what Guitar Hero was doing, but Guitar Hero is still a very solid game, but no matter how good your game is, you come out with that many in that short amount of time, and people are just going to get burned out on it.
Yeah, at least EA tries something new. They try to bring back these franchises that really a greedy company would just leave alone.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get to this a little bit later, but we are planning on doing our underappreciated games from each one of the members, and EA has a lot of them on my list, particularly because they take some decent risks. You really wouldn't see anybody giving American McGee a sequel to Alice 11 years after the first one. And, they did something different with Mirror's Edge. They backed Shadows of the Damned. So, EA actually, goes out of their comfort zone a little bit.
Definitely, but...
Well, I remember I used to hate EA for... Right now, when I really think about it, I'm not really sure why I hated them. I used to think of them as greedy.
I used to always just think of them as sports games. I really hate sports games for the most part. I'm just not into them. And I always thought of EA Sports. And I never really realized there was an other side. That was early on for me. But when I finally realized that, it was when the Mass Effect series was coming out, and I got really into that. And then they burned me out with the ending of the third one. And I guess that's gonna be an interesting point in this video, is how they kind of screwed up a lot of games in a row. SimCity, Battlefield 3, kinda, Mass Effect 3, among others.
Star Wars.
Well, really, to be fair, you don't know how the audience is going to react until after the game comes out.
Yeah, but remember, somebody leaked the original ending for Mass Effect 3, I don't know how many months before the game's release, and from what I've read, 2 of the lead developers were the only people who wrote and oversaw the final ending that they put together.
Yeah, but that's not as uncommon as a lot of people like to make it out to be. I mean, there's Hollywood movies where if you got something big that happens at the end, only about 4 people would probably know what the ending is before the movie comes out.
Like in Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back, not many people knew that Darth Vader was going to be Luke's father. I think they didn't even know about it going into the script or going into the recording of that day. That was kind of a shock to everybody. They had no idea.
Yeah, and like any movie with a plot twist like that, maybe the director would know. Director, the main actor, and maybe like a producer would know, but that's it.
I don't think the main actor knew at that point.
Well, I'm not talking about just Star Wars, but a lot of other movies.
Oh yeah, definitely. But we're talking about games now, and I know it's not uncommon for people like in movies to do that. But when it comes to a story like the Mass Effect series, when you have everybody's collective idea coming into one story, and you take out everybody else who's been working on the story and take 2 people's ideas, you're going to get something vastly different than what the original story was and what it should have been. And we got the crap train wreck that was the Mass Effect 3 ending. Some people were satisfied, some people weren't satisfied. They had to come up with an extended cut because people were so unsatisfied with the ending that they had to waste that amount of money just to come out with an extended cut when they could have been working on DLC.
Well, they did. They gave out the ending for free. Like, it's a way for thanking their community, according to what they said.
Yeah, well, that's actually just them saving their asses, really. They're trying to rebuild PR.
They could have charged for it.
They could have charged for it easily, yeah.
But that really would have hurt their PR even more than they wanted to. I have a doubt that
they're doing so good right now.
I doubt this has to deal with them trying to be a good company. I think it's really about them just rebuilding PR because they've messed it up bad.
I mean, it happens not just with EA but with everybody. Where if a company like, let's say with the Microsoft and the Xbox One thing, if they go back on their policy and do something that the people want, people are still going to complain about it. So you can't make anybody happy. So I mean, they could be like, oh, well, they're just doing it to save their asses, or they're doing it for PR and stuff because they didn't sell enough. Well, they're still doing it, so don't complain about it.
No, I'm not complaining.
I'm not talking about you. I'm just talking about people in general.
Yeah, if people like to complain about EA, even if they're trying to do something good, like even before like their games even come out, people tend to complain about it. Yeah. Quite frankly, if I was working in the PR for EA, I would actually approach everyone's hatred for it and probably make like a few commercials in which EA refers to themselves as like the evil corporation or something like that, like in a joking way, of course. Because I feel if they embrace it as a joke, then everyone's complaints would be set towards the joke, causing people to maybe lose some passion towards hating EA.
True.
I mean, that might work,
sense.
But you look at like the article I read on IGN and GameSpot. EA is getting rid of their online passes.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
You would think that EA is, I mean, obviously they're voted the worst company in the world, but everybody in the comments, instead of saying, wow, that's pretty cool, I mean, some people said that it was a good thing, but a lot of people are like, all right, EA, what's your ulterior motive? There's got to be some catch to it. Are you kidding me? Just be happy that they got rid of something that you hated.
The reason they're doing it is because it's just not working. It's not going to make up the profit that they're losing. And it's just pissing people off, really. I mean, every time I got an EA game that was used, I was pissed. I got to actually go out and buy a freaking code. I didn't like that very much. But I can understand why they did it originally, because they needed to make some of the profit back on used games. And I can understand why Xbox One wanted to go and do what they did. Because they need to make their money back. I mean, you can't function as a company when you have people selling used games and they're not getting any of the money back from it.
It's like you put your heart and soul into making something and you're not getting money off of the sales. Like, it's really something that needs to be addressed.
Definitely needs to be something addressed, but I mean, I'm happy as a gamer that it's no longer present, but if I was in the company's shoes, I wouldn't be very happy.
Yeah, like it's a very different stance from the company's shoes and from the players' shoes. The players want to enjoy their favorite franchises, but the company needs to keep themselves going. Like, they need to make the money off of their efforts.
Definitely. Yeah. Though when it comes to EA and their efforts, ship dates is an issue for me, because they need to start pushing some of the ship dates back. if there's an issue, especially with the Mass Effect 3 ending getting leaked, they had to rush and scramble for a new ending. I don't blame them for it being really bad, aside from I wish they would have collaborated with more of the writers. But they didn't have very much time to come up with a new ending and slap it together. They had to come up with something out of their asses. They had to pull a rabbit out of their ass, basically, for this ending.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of pressure from their stockholders.
Definitely.
Because technically, if you own stock in the company, you basically own a part of the company. So, which means anyone with a retirement fund will most likely owns a piece of the EA. So they have to keep their stocks coming in, because if they don't have their stocks coming in, they start losing out on well, basically everything that keeps them afloat. Like it's a lot more easier and free to be privately owned, but it's a lot harder to keep yourself going. Like you have to make sure that you're producing your products are coming out, or your stockholders will lose faith in your company. It's very treacherous waters being a company, especially a video game company, because it costs millions of dollars at a time just to make the game, and it's millions more to package it and sell it.
That segues perfectly into the issue that was Star Wars: The Old Republic. They spent. I'm looking at this Forbes.com article, and it's saying that I'm just going to quote Forbes. Though EA never officially released the budgetary figures, estimates are the game took between $200 and $300 million to develop, with the marketing cost inflating that figure to possibly as much as $500 million.
Damn.
That's a lot of money to flop on.
Yeah, and now it's free to play, so
it went free to play because it had to.
Yeah.
They had to change their market strategy. And I think...
Yeah, but if you're a company like EA, you're constantly bleeding money out, so you obviously need the money coming in. It's just for survival. So that would naturally cause people to think of EA as greedy.
And I'm looking at their stocks right now, and it's plummeting.
Yeah, they need more people to have more faith in their company. Like, it's a lot easier for them to half-ass it and come out with terrible games.
And that's what they've been doing for a little bit of time, because they think in their heads that they need to stay afloat by releasing a game every year, which they pretty much have been at this point.
That's pretty much what they need. Look
at Valve; they're still afloat.
Yeah, but Valve is privately owned. It's basically Half-Life that allowed them to stay privately owned. But if Valve was publicly owned, then they would have had to really rush games out just to stay afloat. It's a completely different playing field being privately owned and being publicly owned.
Yeah, that I agree with.
Because Valve, no one owns stocks for them. They're privately owned. They have full control of their own company. EA, on the other hand, is publicly owned, and their stocks are plummeting. So So they're constantly bleeding money. They're losing money every day. So they have to find a way to keep the money coming in. They're also doing it in a way that they're trying to make sure the games aren't bad or terrible.
I'd have to disagree on that last part. I think they're doing it in a pretty much destructive manner at this point. Because if you look at the releases they've had in the last year, really. You had SimCity, a complete fuck-up.
Yeah, no one can deny that.
The Mass Effect 3 ending, they should have pushed the date. They should have pushed it back, the release date, and they should have come up with a better ending so they wouldn't have to waste their time with an extended cut DLC. They wasted their time with that when they could have been developing greater DLC for pay, basically. Now, I will say
they do have DLC for pay.
Yeah, they do, but I'm saying they could have expanded on that, come up with had better DLCs than they had, because they had to work on an extended cut.
I don't have a problem with the Mass Effect 3 ending, but I won't really explain myself or anything like that. That's just my opinion.
That'd be a long, drawn-out process to...
But also, for anybody who didn't like the Mass Effect 3 ending, as an aside, I highly, highly recommend you play the Citadel DLC that came out a few months ago, because I personally think, as an aside, that is the perfect way to end the Mass Effect series. And it's really not even the ending, because it happens before the ending, supposedly, but if you just...
closure.
Yeah, if you boot up a save from before the end of the game and you just play through it, that would be one of the best send-offs you can give all those characters that you got to know.
And the biggest problem I had with the ending, aside from things that we won't spoil for people who haven't actually played the game yet, because there's a big issue that I have a problem with, is definitely the lack of closure. The extended cut didn't even provide enough closure for me.
Yeah, well, for some people it did. Some people I could see how it didn't.
Yeah, like it's
To me, the extended cut was just fixing the plot holes that were present in the final ending, because there was a lot. But the extended cut even brought in more plot holes.
It's very hard to patch up an ending without changing it, because changing an ending is a very cheap way to fix something. It's pretty much
cheap.
It's pretty much like trying to extinguish a fire by lighting another fire. So really, it's the creator's decision what to do with the game.
I don't think we should be getting too far into this, but with the Mass Effect 3 ending, I just want to say one thing. They wouldn't have to really change the ending for me to be happy with that ending. I think they should have adopted the indoctrination theory, but that's just a personal preference on that one. I think they could have easily gotten away with it. I think it's what the people wanted for the most part. It wouldn't be changing the ending, it would just be adding context to the ending. And I do remember BioWare at one point saying that they wanted people to think about it as themselves, because they don't need people they don't need somebody to write it out, or they don't want the audience to have to be handwritten out what the ending is actually about. It's like a lot of movies nowadays. They have that 100% this is what the ending is. And I guess they wanted to go against the grain on that one. And they wanted people to come up with their own imagination of what the ending is.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't have an imagination nowadays.
That's true. I think in time, EA is going to wrap up their issues and hopefully recover from what the problems they've had. SimCity, Mass Effect 3, Battlefield 3, to an extent some other games.
Yeah, I don't think they're intentionally trying to screw up like this.
Who the hell would want to sabotage their own company? I mean,
yeah,
they're just making some bad mistakes.
These are bad mistakes, but they are obviously trying to fix these mistakes. Like,
I'll give them that. A lot of companies just wouldn't give a damn at this point.
Yeah, a lot of companies really wouldn't give a damn. EA is trying to give a damn. I see them like trying really hard, but people just hate EA for all these different reasons. Like they're too greedy. They're money hungry, or that.
Which is every company now. I mean, look at Ubisoft. They haven't gotten rid of the code. I mean, are we going to call them money hungry? I mean, I don't like what Ubisoft has done, and that's a subject for another video. But I don't like what they've done with the newest Splinter Cell that's going to come out, or has come out at this point. I don't remember.
I don't like how they handled the whole Rayman Legends thing.
Yeah, that's your forte with that. But Splinter Cell was my favorite series. That Splinter Cell is absolutely my favorite game series ever, and they've completely botched it. They've turned it into Assassin's Creed Splinter Cell Edition.
I can see how someone who enjoyed the old Splinter Cell games would think that. I personally didn't enjoy them, and I actually kind of think this one looks decent.
I guess if you wanted that, I guess you could just go with Assassin's Creed, really, because that's what it seems to me. It seems like an Assassin's Creed game with modern
day, yeah.
A lot of the games are trying to copy the blockbuster games, which I really don't see that from EA. They're at least trying to be original. Like they do copy a lot of policies from other companies.
Yeah, that's a subject for another video about Xbox One and PS4. Oh my God, copying after copying after copying.
Oh yeah, EA does naturally copy policies from other companies.
Oh yeah, why wouldn't you? If it works, you do it.
Yeah, it works for them, but the remarkable thing is it doesn't work for EA. Like, everyone calls out EA like they say the game, like they do like the DLC. They do like DLCs with season, and all of a sudden everyone does DLCs, but EA's the only one who's quote unquote pay the win.
When EA bought the rights for the Star Wars games from what was it, Disney, I think? Yeah. When Disney got the rights to LucasArts, they shut them down. There was going to be no more Star Wars games. So EA buys the rights to make Star Wars games, and people who were saying how sad it was that they weren't getting any Star Wars games are now in an uproar that EA is going to be making these games. I do not understand it.
I haven't heard that from a lot of people I've been talking to. They're ecstatic about it happening.
Maybe nowadays, but when that news first came out, if you read any comment section about it, people were pissed off. Like, oh, if they make Battlefront 3, they're just going to fuck it up, so I'm not even going to bother playing it. Thanks, EA, you ruined my life again. It's just stupid.
I can understand their worries about it, considering their track record in the recent year of releasing fucked up games after fucked up games. SimCity, Mass Effect 3, Battlefield 3. There's some worry about Battlefield 4. There's subtle differences. On the whole, it looks like if you're just watching it, it would look like the same. But if you're actually playing it, from what I've heard about Battlefield 4, it's a much different game. So we'll have to see when Battlefield 4 is released. I have access to the beta because I pre-purchased Medal of Honor Warfighter. Which, another thing that irritates me is a lot of people didn't like that game. And a lot of people also ripped on it because it was EA. I don't know. I like the game. I'll give you props, EA. I like the game. I guess people in EA didn't like it very much because I saw an article a little bit back saying that they realized that Warfighter.
They canceled it.
Yeah, they canceled it. I'm like, I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed the game. Like you said, it was just like a 7 out of 10. But it also depends on how you rate the games, because considering a lot of games nowadays get 8 or above, 7 is like the new 2.
Yeah, pretty much. If you read like some reviews, if you like, well, I'm not gonna spend too long on this, but if you give a game like The Last of Us an 8 out of 10, you'd think that they just spit all over it.
Yeah. Alright guys, I think that's going to about wrap it up for us in this video with EA. In the future we're going to have some more videos coming out. I got to know a developer for DayZ, and I've been playtesting the new updates before they come out, which they haven't come out yet. 1.7.7.2 hasn't come out yet. I recorded a Q&A Twitch stream with the developer along with some other people streaming and asking questions. That will be up probably about the same time this video comes up. I hope you watch it. I'm going to link our Twitch account to this video and the 1.7.7.2 video. So I hope you check that out. Check out our Twitch. We stream relatively every day. Now that we have this new Xbox recorder, we'll be streaming much, much more if we can figure out how to get that to work with Twitch. So watch our Twitch, watch our videos. Please rate, subscribe.
If you don't rate, subscribe, or comment, I will hunt you down. I will dislike your videos, and I will not subscribe to you.
Yeah, what he said. Maybe to not that bad of an extreme. Anyway.
All right, how about this? I'll just be slightly disappointed.
Okay, slightly disappointed. That's fine.
But I'll still send you naked pictures if you
Okay,
if you like
I guess Matt will still send us naked pictures if you like us. Anyway, please rate, subscribe. Look at our Twitch. We have Tumblr, Twitter. Please follow us everywhere you can because we love you. Thank you. Have a nice day.
See ya.
See ya.